Okay, so the first thing that I'm going to do for preparing my heparin is checking my physician's order to my MAR, to my label here. So it's for Holmes, Wendy, then 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 7, 8, 9. So we're giving her heparin for a venous thromboembolism, and I have the heparin MAR here as well. I also am just noting that I also have heparin in my pre-made bag. The dose that we're giving her is 1,350 units an hour, and I also have 1,350 units an hour on my MAR, and I can get that from the concentration that I have here, so that's good. We're giving it IV continuous, and so I'm giving it IV continuous on here, and I'm also going to check on my monograph to make sure that that is an appropriate route for it, and then now is the right time and frequency to give it. So that's good. I've checked my physician's order, so now that I've done that, I'm going to look at my my monograph. So again, it's heparin. I have heparin in my bag, and I have heparin on my MAR here. So that's good. I'm going to use the Guardian software here, and I'm just noting that it's a venous thromboembolism, so that's the settings that I'm going to use. So I'm going to look at this a little bit later. IV continuous, the concentration is 100 units ml, that's appropriate. So the potential hazards are bleeding and thrombocytopenia, so I'm going to note that. I'm also just going to note that I'm going to obtain a baseline APTT and CBC, and then the APTT is 6 hours after any loading dose or change in infusion rate. No, this is in the wrong order. So this can be given by a student nurse. I'm going to follow the high alert medication policies. So that's good. Good. So now that I've checked my monograph, I've confirmed that I can give it. I've confirmed that everything here is appropriate, and I'm going to monitor for the bleeding and thrombocytopenia. I'm just going to check how to make this medication. So again, it's heparin, and I have heparin in my bag. I have 25,000 units, and I have 25,000 units here, so that's appropriate. It's 250 mLs total, and that's the total volume that says on the bag. So the final volume, again, is 250 mLs, so that's good. And the final concentration is 100 units per ml, which is what it says on here as well. So I've confirmed that it is made properly, so that's good. So now that I've done that, I'm going to create a label for it. So it's for Wendy Holmes, so I'm going to put her initials. I'm giving heparin, and I'm just going to write VTE here as well, so I know for my colleague Guardian. The dose that is in the bag is 25,000 units, so I'm going to write 25,000 units, volume of 250 mLs, the concentration per ml is 100 units per ml, the date is March 12th? March 12th? Yes, March 12th. Good, and then my initials, and then that rate that I'm giving it at is 1,350 units per hour. So I'm just going to write that on the side, 1,350 units per hour. So now that I've done that, I'm just going to attach my label to my bag here. I'll attach it after. So I have my label ready, I've reviewed that, and now I'm going to do my second check. I'm also just noting that heparin is compatible with D5W normal saline, so having it in a D5W bag is appropriate. So now that I've done that, I'm going to do my second check. So I'm comparing my monograph to my bag, to my MAR, to my label. So again, I have heparin here that I'm giving, and I have heparin in my monograph, heparin on my label, and heparin in my bag. The dose that I'm giving, or to overall prepare it, I have 25,000 units in my bag. 25,000 units is appropriate as per the monograph, and so the total volume is 250 mLs, which is what I have in the bag here, and the final concentration is 100 units per ml, and so I can get my appropriate dose of 1,350 units an hour from this concentration of 100 units per milliliter, so the dose is appropriate. Next, it's given IV continuous, so the monograph says I can give it IV continuous with a colleague Guardian, as well as it's scheduled for IV continuous on the MAR, so that's good, and now it's the right time and frequency to give it. So again, that's for Wendy Holmes. So now that I've done my second check, I'm going to get a second nurse to come in and do their independent second check. So they're going to do the same thing that I did, where they're checking the heparin on the monograph, heparin on the MAR, my label, and the pre-made bag. And they have checked it, and they've confirmed that it's appropriate. So I'm going to attach my label. Now that I've attached my label, just one more time, I'm just checking. So I have the appropriate amount of units, appropriate final volume, and appropriate concentration. So now that my medication is prepared appropriately, I'm going to grab my medication, my MAR, alcohol swabs, and my portless tubing, and I'm going to go to my patient's bedside. So hi there, Miss Holmes. My name is Anne. I'm your student nurse today. I'm here to give you your heparin. So the reason why you're getting heparin is because you have a venous thromboembolism, so that means that you have a clot, and the heparin is a blood thinner, so it's going to prevent the clot from getting any bigger. You've been on this for a while, but do you have any questions about it at all? No? Okay. Okay, so some things that we're monitoring here for is just signs of bleeding. So anything like a nosebleed, unusual bruising, anything like that, let us know. Also, I'm going to monitor your blood before and then 6 hours after I set this up. Do you have any questions about this at all? No? Okay. Okay, so before I begin, I'm just going to do my third check. So I'm just going to set this down here for a second. So the first thing I'm going to do is look at her wristband. Wristband? Okay, perfect. So it's Holmes, Holmes, Wendy, Wendy, Finn 123, 123, 456, 456, 789, 789. Wendy, can you tell me your whole first and last name, please? Perfect. And your birthday? Okay. Do you have any allergies at all? No? Okay. Okay, so I've confirmed that it's the right patient. So now I'm just going to go over here and I'm going to do the rest of my third check. So again, I have a heparin MAR and I have heparin on my label as well as the pre-made label here says heparin. The dose that I'm giving is 1,350 units an hour, which I have written down on the side here, and based off my concentration of 100 units per ml, I can get that dose. It's appropriate. I'm giving it IV continuous to just check the colleague guardian as well as my MAR, so that's appropriate, and now is the right time and frequency to change the bag. So now that I've done my third check, I'm going to get it all set up. So I'm going to get my tubing here, which I've ensured is portless, and the reason for that being is that it's a high alert medication, and I don't want anybody to accidentally add anything to it that shouldn't be added to it.
I'm going to walk into the patient's room, making sure that they're not in any distress, so they're not. Hi, my name is Susia. I'm just here to administer your insulin. So I would just check the RMAT of my MAR and my bag. So Bryson, Scotland, Bryson, Scotland, Bryson, Scotland, number 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Perfect. And can you just state your name for me? Perfect. Do you have any allergies? No? Okay.
Normally there would be a blue cap on the end of that, but I'm just going to pretend that there is for now.
Diabetes, so at any time you can feel like you
Perfect.
discomfort,
And I've primed the line.
or have any sort of tremors.
Yep.
Okay.
So now that I've primed the line, I'm going to go ahead and get it set up. So I'm going to do primary. I'm going to select colleague guardian, and again we're giving heparin for a VTE dose. So I'm just going to scroll down until I get to heparin VTE. I'm going to select that. So now that I have that, I'm just going to check again with my label here. So I have heparin VTE that I've selected, heparin VTE. That's good. The drug amount is 25,000 units, and I have 25,000 units on my label here. The volume is 250 mLs, and I have 250 mLs in my bag based off my label. The concentration is 100 units per ml, and that's what I have written on my label here, so that's appropriate. And the volume is 250 mLs. So now I'm going to program in my dose of 1,350 units, and I'm just referring to the MAR for that as well. So it also says 1,350 units. So I have 1,350 units programmed in, which is 13.5 mLs an hour. So that's appropriate. So now I'm going to go hook it up to my patient. And I'm just noting here that the Y port has already been primed for putting in the heparin, so that's appropriate. So I'm not going to flush it, I'm just going to attach it. I'm also noting that there is the presence of the normal saline carrier here, which is compatible with heparin. The reason for that is because the heparin isn't going at a large enough dose to TKVO. So the normal saline is just supplementing that there, and I have it set right now at a TKVO rate, so that's appropriate. So now I'm going to alcohol swab for 30 seconds, let dry for 15. Again, usually there would be a blue cap on here. So I'm going to attach that. Now, before I do anything else, I'm going to get a second nurse to come in and do an independent double check. So they're going to come in and look at my label, look at my MAR, look at the pump, look at my patient's wristband. So they've done all of that, they've confirmed it. So now I'm going to go ahead and put my line in my
So we're making sure there's no
Okay, so again, before I start, I'm also just noting that it says heparin VTE on the bottom here, so that's good. I'm going to make sure that no clamps are on as it's now in the pump. And again, so Miss Holmes, so we're giving you your heparin now. We're going to start. Do you have any other questions about this? No, she's already is okay with her education there. We do have our normal saline here. None of the clamps are on. I've gotten my independent third check from another nurse, and so now I'm going to transfer my primary. I'm going to click start, and so now I'm waiting for the 3 drops here, and while I'm waiting for the 3 drops, I'm just going to lock the back of it. So I've locked the pump here because it is a high alert medication. I don't want anybody accidentally switching it. So now I'm just waiting for my 3 drops here so it's infusing appropriately. Again, no clamps are on, so I'm ensuring that my patient gets the appropriate dose. The normal saline is running at a TKVO volume. So Ms. Smith, we have your heparin running here. If you don't have any other questions, I'm going to come and monitor your vital signs and blood as per protocol that I just described to you. If you don't have any other questions, I'm going to do my exit safety check now. So I'm going to make sure your call bell is within reach, bed in lowest position possible. Side rails would typically be up. Other than that, I'm going to leave the room, and then I would document on the MAR the time, date, and the time and date and my initials, and then I'm also going to get the second nurse who double checked to do the same thing and initial as well.